Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my story about cancer research. 2 years ago, when I was 16 while playing a football game, I got hit in the knee. Two players came and hit both sides, and it's kind of based on the injury, it can be life-changing in a way for a high school football player. After the hit, my trainer thought it was an MCL sprain, so he recommended I see a doctor. My doctor ordered an x-ray, and when he didn't find anything, well, at least he didn't find a tear, but they looked at the bone and there was a dark spot. He ordered a biopsy, and later that week I found out that I had osteosarcoma, which is a type of bone cancer. I didn't completely understand what that meant beforehand, but when you hear those three terrifying, truly life-changing words, you have cancer, it wasn't long before I understood. Almost immediately, doctors started me on chemotherapy treatments, and over the next 9 months I went through 16. But I'll be the first to tell you that I'm lucky. I know it's probably strange to hear from someone only 2 years earlier had a cancer diagnosis to say I'm lucky, but I'm lucky to be alive. And I'm lucky because I can stand, or sit, I guess, on my own two legs. And that's something that people a few years before me couldn't have said. My doctors told me that if I had been diagnosed just a few years earlier, or my cancer would have progressed more than it did, they would have had to amputate my leg. But thanks to cancer research, medical professionals had a different way of treating the disease by the time I was diagnosed. They used a cadaver bone to replace the bone in my leg damaged by the cancer. 7 surgeries, 19 screws, 2 plates, and 1 cadaver bone later, here I am. Not only that, I played catcher for my high school baseball team this year, and I also swam. A lot of things had to go right for me to be here today. If I hadn't gotten hit that night on the football field, would I have been diagnosed? I don't know. What I do know is if the National Institute of Health hadn't funded the cancer research that led to new treatments for this disease, I may have lost my leg, or even my life. As you can imagine, cancer research means a lot to me and many other cancer patients. I've been part of multiple research studies, including one that looked at the effects of chemotherapy on my heart, and another that's trying to determine the makeup of my genes that played a role in me developing osteosarcoma. The studies focused on the genetics of osteosarcoma at the University of Minnesota have been very promising. The lead investigator, whose work is funded by the NIH, has identified 3 to 4 genes that are associated with osteosarcoma and different from parents to kids in the disease. He doesn't know how they are associated, which is what his team is trying to find next. This genetic research would help develop tests in order to identify kids at high risk, detect early, or even possibly prevent the disease altogether in the future. My hope is that through NIH funding, we'll have the funding needed to support this in other areas of research. Another interesting thing is that this research has found that kids with osteosarcoma have on average, are taller than their peers from birth to age 12. To get taller, they have to make more cells, which leads to cancer-cell interaction between the genes and the pace of the child's growth. It is my hope that with the proper support, and all the puzzle pieces will come together to help identify the kids most at risk for my type of cancer, and find the best way to catch it in the earliest possible stage. I'm going to be a student at McAllister College this fall, and plan to study biology with focus in epidemiology and biostatistics. I want to do research because I want answers. Doctors don't know the causes of osteosarcoma right now, and I want to find answers so nobody else has to go through what I did. I've been doing everything since my diagnosis to beat this disease once and for all, but I need the federal government to help me.
Thank you.